I'll say it's a lot. I'll say all week I would say I've been like dealing with a lot spiritually, like different battles, that I had to overcome, I just had to overcome.
How you doing? I love you. Gonna make me cry, man. I love you so much. God, I love you. That was a great play, son. God, I love you, boy. I need you, baby. I love you so much. I need you here. I know, baby.
Not until the last couple of years that you became Shedeur.
Yeah.
You've always been, that's prime son.
Yeah.
I think the devil, of course, is going to attack you different ways, people around you and everything. And honestly, like this whole year, has been a long year. It been ups, downs. It been, different feelings. So, like you gotta be able to, at some point in time, talk to people. Sometimes you gotta lean on people also. So that's what them. My guys in there was able to really like come to life.
The Cleveland Browns just wrapped up one of the most disappointing seasons in recent franchise history. 3 wins. 3! And somewhere in the wreckage of this absolute disaster, there's a young quarterback who was supposed to be their future, sitting on the sidelines, watching it all burn. But here's where it gets interesting. Shedeur Sanders, the most hyped quarterback prospect since his father revolutionized cornerback play, just pulled back the curtain on something we never see from elite athletes. Raw vulnerability, real emotion, the kind of honesty that makes PR teams sweat. And what he revealed? It's bigger than football.
And we got to end at halftime. We got in the locker room, and like close teammates, close friends was like, nah, bro, get back to being you. So it was that words of encouragement. It was that shoulder to lean on that you need in them crucial moments. So then,
this isn't just another pre-draft sob story. This is about a young man battling demons we can't see, fighting wars in his own mind while the entire sports world debates whether he's worthy of being a franchise quarterback. This is about pressure that would crush most 22-year-olds. And this is about a system, yes, the Cleveland Browns, that might have already written him off before he ever takes a snap. Let's break down what really happened here.
So that's why my body language, everything was off. Like that's what it was. Then we got to end at halftime. We got in the locker room, and like close teammates, close friends was like, nah, bro, get back to being you.
Shedeur Sanders just admitted something that most athletes would rather die than confess. He wasn't mentally right. His body language was off. He was struggling with spiritual battles, whatever that means to him personally, and it affected his performance on the field. Think about that for a second. In a league where showing weakness is career suicide, where admitting mental struggles gets you labeled as soft or not a leader, Shedeur Sanders just stood in front of cameras and said, "I wasn't okay. I needed help. My teammates had to bring me back." That's not weakness, that's courage. But here's what makes this story explosive. While Shedeur is out here being honest about his mental battles, being real about needing support from his teammates, the Cleveland Browns, the team that desperately needs a franchise quarterback, are reportedly already looking elsewhere. They're rumored to be targeting Cam Ward. They're not even hiding it anymore. The disrespect is palpable. You've got a kid who just led Colorado to one of the most improbable turnarounds in college football history, a quarterback who threw for over 3,700 yards, 35 touchdowns, and completed nearly 74% of his passes, a generational arm talent who can make every throw in the book. And Cleveland, they're treating him like he's a liability. Now let's talk about what's really going on here, because this isn't just about football talent. This is about something much deeper, something that cuts to the core of how the NFL treats certain players differently.
I think the want-to is to prove that I'm able to drive down the field, and that a bad half, doesn't define a character like kind of how it was the other week.
Shedeur knows he's being judged differently. He knows that every mistake gets magnified, every bad half becomes a character assassination, and he's out here trying to prove that he can overcome adversity, that he can lead fourth-quarter drives when everything's on the line. But here's the million-dollar question. Would any other quarterback prospect face this level of scrutiny? Think about it. When Trevor Lawrence struggled his rookie year with the Jaguars, what was the narrative? Oh, he just needs time, he's learning, the supporting cast isn't there. When Zach Wilson looked completely lost with the Jets, what did people say? The coaching is terrible. Give him another year. But when it comes to Shedeur Sanders, suddenly it's about his dad. It's about the baggage. It's about whether he can handle the pressure of being Dion's son.
For him to say, "Dad, I need you back," I was going to do everything I could to get on that sideline to be there for my baby. That explains the embrace that we had on the sideline. It wasn't about football. It was about a father being there.
The double standard is screaming. And you know what the craziest part is? Shedeur is more prepared for NFL-level scrutiny than 99% of prospects who've come before him. The man's been living under a microscope since he was in high school. He's dealt with more media pressure at Colorado than most NFL starters face in their entire careers. But somehow, Cleveland isn't convinced. Let's get into the mental health aspect of this because it's critical. In that post-game press conference, Shedeur opened up about dealing with spiritual battles, about needing his teammates to pull him back from the edge. He talked about how this whole year has been ups, downs, different feelings. That's real talk.
Like you gotta be able to, at some point in time, talk to people. Sometimes you gotta lean on people also.
In an interview with Cam Newton, the conversation went even deeper. Cam, someone who knows exactly what it's like to carry impossible expectations, asked Shedeur about managing the pressure of being Dion's son. Shedeur's response? Brutally honest. He said it's not really pressure because it's been the same thing every year of his life. When you grow up in a big house, you don't appreciate it until it's taken away. He talked about how his dad intentionally moved them to a smaller place, put them in charter schools instead of private schools, specifically to keep them grounded. This is a kid who understands humility on a level most people never will, and yet the narrative around him is that he's entitled, that he's cocky, that he's going to bring drama because of his last name. It's infuriating. Now let's talk about what happened in that final game against the Bengals, because this is where Shedeur showed exactly who he is as a competitor. He admitted he came out slow. His first half was rough. He wasn't seeing the field clearly, but at halftime, his teammates got in his ear. They reminded him who he was. And what happened? He came out in the second half and orchestrated a game-winning drive.
I knew the whole time he was going to be able to make it. So I think there was a bunch of different battles, overall that we won today, and it started up here, started mentally.
That's clutch. That's leadership. That's the kind of mental fortitude you cannot teach. But here's what makes the Browns' apparent disinterest so baffling. They just went through an entire season watching Deshaun Watson, their $230 million man, look completely washed. They watched him struggle to complete basic passes. They watched him turn the ball over at critical moments. They watched him show zero of the mobility or arm talent that made him elite in Houston. And their solution is to pass on Shedeur Sanders? Make it make sense. Some reports are suggesting the Browns prefer Cam Ward because he's less baggage, because he doesn't come with the Deion Sanders circus, because he fits the traditional mold of what Cleveland wants. But let's be honest about what that really means. It means they're scared. They're scared of the spotlight. They're scared of dealing with a confident black quarterback who doesn't apologize for who he is. They're scared of a father who will hold them accountable if they mismanage his son's career. And that fear, it's going to cost them. Because Shedeur Sanders is going to be a problem in this league. Not the bad kind of problem. The kind of problem that tortures your defense for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. The kind of problem that shows up in January when games matter most. The mental strength this kid has shown is remarkable. He talked about learning what he likes, what he doesn't like. He talked about learning how to deal with feelings, both when things are going well and when they're falling apart.
Mentally, it was how to deal with when things are going your way, when things aren't going your way, when how to deal with feelings.
That level of self-awareness at 22 years old, that's special. Most quarterbacks don't figure that out until they're 5 or 6 years into their NFL careers. Most guys go through multiple offensive coordinators, multiple coaching staffs before they understand how to manage their emotions in the crucible of professional football. Shedeur already gets it, and the Browns are going to pass on him because of optics, because of perception, because they're more worried about what people will say than what he can actually do on the field. It's a tragedy. Here's what's going to happen. Shedeur is going to land somewhere else, maybe Las Vegas, maybe the Giants, maybe Tennessee, and he's going to thrive. He's going to become exactly what everyone who actually watched him play at Colorado knows he can be, a legitimate franchise quarterback who can sling it with the best of them. And Cleveland? They're going to be stuck in the same cycle they've been in for 25 years, drafting the wrong guy, ruining young quarterbacks, wondering why nothing ever changes.
The things I do, like get the cars, get the chains and stuff like that, is because I remember when I was in that position, and I never forget that.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Nobody else could relate to that because they ain't lived my life, but I remember when I couldn't call nobody and see actually how they went to go get a Rolls Royce, or actually know what they had in their account when they went to get a Rolls Royce. You get what I'm saying?
For sure.
Nobody gonna be real with you.
The vulnerability Shedeur showed in these interviews isn't a red flag. It's the opposite. It shows he's mature enough to recognize when he needs help. It shows he's honest enough to admit his struggles. It shows he's surrounded by people who genuinely care about him and will pull him through the dark moments. Those are the exact qualities you want in a franchise quarterback. Someone who can handle adversity, someone who bounces back from bad halves, someone who trusts his teammates and lets them lift him up when he's down. Cam Newton said it perfectly in their conversation. Shedeur's mental has to be bulletproof. He's in a lose-lose situation 90% of the time. No matter what he says, no matter what he does, someone's gonna criticize him. But you know what? He's built for that. He's been living in that pressure cooker his entire life, and instead of crumbling, instead of letting it break him, he's used it as fuel. He's used it to become one of the most polished NFL-ready quarterback prospects we've seen in years. The Browns sabotaging their own future by passing on him? That's on them. But mark these words, Shedeur Sanders is going to make every team that passed on him regret it. And when he's hoisting the Lombardi Trophy somewhere down the line, Cleveland is going to be stuck wondering what could have been. Again, this isn't just a football story. This is a story about mental health, about vulnerability, about a young man fighting battles we can't see while carrying the weight of impassable expectations. And he's winning those battles. The NFL better recognize what they have in Shedeur Sanders, because kids like this don't come around often. Quarterbacks with his arm talent, sure, they show up every few years, but quarterbacks with his mental fortitude, his self-awareness, his ability to be vulnerable while still being deadly confident, that's rare. Cleveland had a chance to grab lightning in a bottle. They had a chance to pair elite talent with elite character. They had a chance to build their franchise around a quarterback who already understands what it takes to lead at the highest level. Instead, they're going to let him slip away. And when Shedeur Sanders is torching their defense for the next decade, when he's hoisting the Lombardi Trophy and winning playoff games, when he's doing exactly what everyone who actually paid attention knew he could do, the Browns will have nobody to blame but themselves. This is the story of Shedeur Sanders, a quarterback who dared to be vulnerable, who admitted he struggles, who showed the world that strength isn't about being perfect, it's about getting back up when you fall. The NFL needs more of that, not less.